And good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. It is Sunday, 8:45 a.m. Central Time. And before we get into the main part of the show today, Now You See TV just interviewed a woman claiming to be the nanny of Elon Musk. Shalom Girl, but also known as Rosemary. Curiously, right? Now, she makes some claims in this interview, and I'll put a link to this in the pinned comment for after the show. She makes some claims in this interview that seem to align with some very recent research that we just did on Elon Musk and Rosemary's baby. Now, this was chilling. I watched this. Typically, when it comes to survivors and people related to famous people, I always go into it with a bit of skepticism. And so I just want to give the caveat that I'm not covering this because I'm 100% sure this woman is legitimate, but it's interesting to see the overlays and the connections that we just recently made that seem to align with some of these kinds of interviews. We saw the same thing with Epstein's niece. It was the same thing. She just came out, did some interviews on some pretty big channels, and a lot of what she was talking about seemed to overlay with things that we had just recently been talking about. And the same applies to this woman who's claiming to be the nanny of this woman now, or of Elon Musk. Now, what was she talking about in this interview? Well, let me give you a synopsis of it, because Elon Musk actually shares the same birthday as Rosemary's baby. The Antichrist in the movie from the 1960s, June 28th, is the date given in the movie of the birthday of the Antichrist, and that just so happens to be Elon Musk's birthday. But the weird thing is she does not mention that in the interview. Now, I left a comment down here, and I actually said that that just so happens to be Elon Musk's birthday, and apparently my comment has been shadow banned. I mean, now it might be stuck in, it could be stuck in the spam folder. I'm not saying that they shadow banned my comment, because this just happens sometimes, on our channels. Sometimes these comments go into spam. So apparently my comment went into spam because I'm the only one that thumbs it up, which means it's not being seen by everybody else. I put in here, Elon Musk's birthday is the actual birthday of the Antichrist and Rosemary's baby. So there's a couple explanations for that. Hopefully the guys at Now You See TV will find it in the spam folder and release it, because this is a very, very important piece to the puzzle. Now, of course, this is John Pounders, and this is the woman who's claiming her name is Rosemary, and she mentions Rosemary's baby in the interview. So there's another connection to something we just covered about 3 weeks ago. And she spoke about some other things that seem to intersect with our research. She describes Elon Musk as a pharaoh. There's been a lot of talk about pharaohs, hasn't there? I said most presidents are probably pharaohs, reanimated pharaohs, clones. And she said that Rosemary's baby's DNA has been captured and recycled, and they keep birthing in these people such as Elon Musk and others that they hope will be the Antichrist. And then she said that that was what was behind all of that, and the Rosemary's baby lore and the whole archetype surrounding that. What else did she say? Well, she also says that one of the other reasons why Elon Musk was birthed into this world was to be the one to make robots to rule the world. Now, that has also been a central component of a lot of our research. We decoded I Am Robot. We talked about Elon Musk's Optimus Prime robots. And I told you how they would be replacing people soon, and how they would make robotic armies and things like this. And everyone will applaud it, because they'll be like, oh, people don't have to die in battle anymore. So now we could just have robots fighting everyone. But what they don't realize is these robots will be turned on us. They will become our police, and we will live in modern slavery. Now, another thing she mentions that we talked about was John Lennon's assassination. We just got done talking about that. We just covered the mysterious hotel where John Lennon was killed at. We did a full breakdown of the hotel. That was a decode we did probably within the last 4 weeks. And then at the end of this interview, she describes Elon Musk as a child opening up a pit, opening up the pit to hell. And then she says she witnessed this. Now, she also mentions Charles Manson, and Snowball made many connections between Charles Manson and Rosemary's Baby. So now this is getting really close to home, isn't it? She mentions even San Quentin Penitentiary, which in some weird twist of fate actually intersects with my life. My father was a guard at the San Quentin Penitentiary, and as I've shared with you before, my father would tell me stories of his conversations with Charles Manson. So, this is getting pretty up close and personal, isn't it? Unbelievable. Now, let me check in with you guys, and we're going to get into Fantasy Island. This all fits into this as well. This trafficking, as the plot begins to thicken with our reality. Good morning, everybody. Pretty crazy stuff, right? So, she says, why is it always the pits of hell? Why can't it be a barbecue pit? Wow. Good morning. I know it's early this Sunday, so thanks for tuning in. All right. She said previously that his mother said he's not the Antichrist, but is instrumental in bringing the mark of the beast into play. Yes, Cam. Yes, I forgot to mention that he would be instrumental in bringing in the mark of the beast. Yes. Snowball says very close. Yeah, but I think that they are lying a little. Yeah, I'd be interested to hear Snowball's take on the interview because he has a lot better handle on these connections between Charles Manson and Rosemary's Baby than I do. Snowball's been all over this for a long, long time. So he prompted me many years ago to try to look at this, and I just never looked at it until recently. And so okay, so let's keep going. Let's get into this Fantasy Island. So one of you guys found that, remember the Epstein Island episode we did, which it was an episode of Fantasy Island that seemed like it had all these metaphors for Epstein Island, as these women were drugged and trafficked to rich billionaires. They were imprisoned on an island where nobody else had any jurisdiction. Remember all this? Well, here we go again, because one of you found that the ring that the billionaire used to drug the woman, there was literal drugs in his ring, and he dumped it into her glass. And then she became incapacitated and woke up on his island. Well, one of you guys found that there was an Illuminati playing card with the exact same thing. They even showed the glass with the card and the ring with the weird substance in it. Here it is, you guys. So great find, whoever found this. A ring full of some kind of paralytic put into a glass of wine. And it matches the scenario in this Fantasy Island, Epstein Island episode. Now, the question I have is, what is this weird vine-like thing next to it? And I've got to go to you guys for this because I don't know what that is. This weird vine, flower vine or something. Now, we've looked at some of this stuff over the years because these paralytic amnesiacs, they call them, this has become a central component in a lot of the survivor stories. They talk of something that they were given, Epstein's niece talked about this, that they're given some kind of amnesiac, she calls it. It makes them forget, and it like paralyzes them. And she was kept on low levels doses of this stuff for the majority of her life so that they could immediately bring her back into a state of forgetfulness. And I think she even mentioned a particular substance, or maybe she didn't. I can't remember, but this is insane. Now, what is this weird purplish pink flower? And this is the problem with these victims that come forward. They can't remember anything, or it's very spotty, or they claim that the abuse was forgotten, or they had to find those memories again. And so therefore their testimonies aren't very solid, because how do you base a testimony off of, a person that's forgotten most of what's happened, unless you can link together factual evidence and create a case that way? Wow. So what is this pink flower? Let me go back in here and see if anyone knows what that is, and we can try to figure this out together. Now, I promised you guys I would look at some more of these episodes of Fantasy Island. Today, we're going to look at an episode where Rourke goes to battle with the devil, except his name is Mephistopheles. Now, we've heard this name before. We've covered this several times. Mephistopheles. The name Murphy links into this as well. And of course, Murphy was the name of the girl in the movie Interstellar. And we talked about how really she played the part of the devil. Balky says, Kamala, lotus flower. I don't think that's a lotus flower. That's like a vine with some kind of weird, with like a weird flower, like a pink flower. That's not a lotus. That's something else. Anyway, Angel's Trumpets, says Mitchell. Name of the flower. Trumpet flower. Trumpet. Ooh, wow. And then there's the Trump name in it, right? Let's look that up. So many of you think it's a Angel's Trumpet flower. We'll look it up and look at pictures of it to see if it all matches up. But let's see if there's any other suggestions that we can look up. Belladonna flower. Tonette says Murphy was also RoboCop. Yes, so now you know what Murphy means. It's short for Mephisto, and it's the devil. Okay, so wait, hold on. I'm getting sidetracked here. Nightshade, Belladonna. Let's look up those images. Belladonna flower. Images. Maybe. Trumpet flower, Angel's Trumpet. That's probably it. The Angel's Trumpet flower. Let's see if it has any amnesiac properties. Whoa, and amnesia of the episode. Disconnection from reality. Yep, I think this is it. The Angel's Trumpet. Whoa, good job, you guys. Good job. So, a genus of 7 species of flowering plants, nightshade, woody trees and shrubs with pendulous flowers, large fragrant flowers, angel's trumpets, adjacent to the nickname devil's trumpets of the closely related genus Datura. Wow. Contain tropane alkaloids, toxicity, and deliriant effects. And they mention amnesia. These hallucinations are often characterized by complete loss of awareness that one is hallucinating. Wow, so you're stuck in a bad dream. Disconnection from reality and amnesia of the episode. So you forget the whole episode. That has to be exactly what this is. So you guys have now solved this flower. It's the trumpet, Angel's Trumpet, which even makes this scene even more cryptic, doesn't it? With Epstein Island and the Angel's Trumpet. Holy smokes. Now, let's get into this episode of Fantasy Island. And Rourke goes to battle with the devil, Mephisto, but here's the twist. Rourke intervenes on behalf of a couple. The couple's name is Mr. and Mrs. Bream. And Mr. Bream is played by Adam West, who, of course, played Batman in 1966. Let's watch.
Now, your case is not a strong one, but there is immense power in a love such as yours.
So the reason why Rourke intervenes is because he says they're in love, and he somehow knows this. Remember, Rourke is like the supernatural character. He has special powers.
As I said, the devil has his rights. But like everybody else, he is governed by rules and procedures.
So the devil is governed by rules and procedures, and he has certain rights. And there is Batman. He's carrying a cane because he was in a car accident, and his wife made a deal with the devil to save his life. And what Rourke says about the devil's rules, we've talked about this, haven't we? We said that there are certain spiritual protections that we have, and the devil can't just run through our lives. Like, we literally, in some way, have to allow him in. And this is exactly what Rourke says. Now remember, we decoded Rourke. His name is Ruach in Gaelic, which sounds like the same Hebrew word for the Holy Spirit, except he is a false Messiah. Let's keep watching here.
I will appear on your behalf as counsel for the defense. The devil is obliged to grant us a hearing. He has been using you to set up a confrontation with me. In fact, I am reasonably sure that this has been his purpose all along.
So he says that they're being used to set up a confrontation because the devil wants to take Rourke off the chess table.
Mephistopheles knew I wouldn't let it be destroyed without a fight. You see, a love like yours is a priceless thing.
So he names the devil Mephistopheles, and here is where the plot thickens.
It will not be the first time that he and I have done combat. Mr. Bream, may I present Mephistopheles?
So there is the devil. Now, here's where the plot thickens. Because Batman, Adam West, did battle with Mephistopheles in the modern Batman Begins movie. Here it is, right here. So now we have ourselves an archetype that spans generations and decades. A connection between Batman and Mephistopheles in Batman Begins, and also this Fantasy Island episode. What am I talking about? Well, in Batman Begins, when little Batman, little Bruce Wayne, goes to the opera with his family, they go to see the opera Mephistopheles. Now, we had just covered this, hadn't we? We had just covered this. And remember, after they left the opera, Adam West's parents, or Bruce Wayne's parents, are murdered. And we talked about the connection that Trump is Batman. How? His mother was mugged on Halloween, and she never recovered from that mugging, just like Batman's parents were mugged and killed on Halloween in the movie Batman Begins. Now, it seems as though Batman essentially gets revenge for his parents and he's doing good, but really there's a dark side to Batman. There's a dark side to Batman because he literally makes a deal with the devil, just like Rourke makes a deal with the devil, and the woman makes a deal with the devil. Now, there's a modern manifestation of this we're going to talk about in a minute, and it's going to blow your mind because we're going to get into big balls next, because that links into all of this as well. Welcome to the Matrix, you guys. Now, I will link the Batman Begins decode that we did so you can see the connection between Faust, Mephistopheles, Batman, and Trump. Let's keep watching here.
Rock, my dear fellow, how good it is to see you.
You encouraged her desperation, Mephistopheles, as you always do. You pretend to be reasonable.
If she's read things into it that aren't there, it's not my fault.
You are the worst kind of fraud. You are a lying hypocrite. You pose as a friend and offer hope, but all you deliver is destruction.
Now, that is a poor choice of words. I would have much preferred master politician.
Master politician. Now, Adam West died at the age of 88 years old. And the guy that you just saw play the devil, his name is Roddy McDowell. And he died on the eve of 88 days left in the year. October 3rd, the eve of 88 days left in the year is when he died. And the picture that they show of him is from 1988, but he was the one that played the devil. So now we have this bizarre Batman devil archetype. Batman making a deal with the devil, and the devil using the parent sacrifice to control Batman and wield his vengeful spirit. Now, before we hop off of this, I promise you we would get into this big balls thing. And if you hadn't heard by now, big balls got mugged in DC. And all of this is connected to this bizarre Batman Trump archetype. Remember, the mugging and Trump's response is a total Batman move, isn't it? What is Trump doing? He is now threatening to lock down all of DC. This is something Batman would do based on a mugging because of the trigger of what happened to his parents. And you can imagine that Trump's mother being mugged on Halloween was probably fits into this as well. Let's see. When did Big Balls get mugged? I think it was on the 6th. How many days between the mugging and Halloween? That's the question we need to ask. Let's take a look. I don't know the answer to this. This was not part of my show notes today. But if we go from August 6th, date of Big Balls mugging, we're just going to call him BB because I'm not sure how YouTube feels about even talking about this guy. But let's go from August to October 31st. We'll also do 5th of November just to be sure because that's the end of Samhain. And see what these dates come up with. Spin the wheel. So it's 86 days from Halloween. Whoa. And Big Balls was mugged on 8/6. 8/6 and 86 days before Halloween, you guys. That cannot be an accident. So this definitely links in to what happened to Trump's mother. I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't at some point mention the mugging of his mother at some point. And that's usually how it goes, right? We start talking about something and then all of a sudden Trump starts talking about it. It's like we're on some kind of spiritual timeline that predates reality. Now, there is much, much more to this whole Big Balls thing. This is crazy. We're going to start calling it BB. And what I didn't realize is that BB is 19 years old and he is the grandson of an executed KGB officer. "19 years old and the grandson of a KGB officer that was executed." Why are all these Russian connections? In 2025, Edward Korstein, the son of Lesser Evil's CEO Charles Korstein and grandson of executed KGB officer Valery Martinov, began working with Tesla. This is BB, Big Balls. Now, it says here, he was also the son of the guy who made this popular snack called Lesser Evil. Here it is right here. Now wait till we go down this Matrix rabbit hole because this is crazy. Lesser Evil. This is Big Ball's father. And this company was founded by none other than the late Gene Hackman in 2004. You know, the guy who died of heart failure after his wife died of the hantavirus from rodents that had overrun their New Mexico home. Now, this company ran into controversy. Lesser Evil ran into controversy because they were claiming that their snacks were healthier than other people's snacks, and that didn't prove to be the case. And Big Ball's claim to fame was that he helped Elon Musk run Doge. But before that, he worked with Elon Musk on the Neuralink program. Now, I dug deeper because I wanted to see where Big Balls got his name. Because we have big, beautiful bills, don't we? And now we have Big Balls. It's all about the 6-6, the 66, the twinning. B looks visually like a 6. So we've got all of this, don't we? And I think that that's what they're getting at here. Now here's where I got chills because the very first reference, the oldest reference that I could find to Big Balls. You ready for this? A German punk band founded in Hamburg. Big Balls and the Great White Idiot. What was this punk band from 1975? They were a racist white Nazi punk band. And one of the vocalist, his name was Baron Adolf Kaiser. And he would provoke the audience. Remember, this band is called Big Balls and the Great White Idiot. This is the link here. He would provoke the audience by wearing a Nazi uniform and a black mustache as an expression of anarchy. Now, most of you probably remember the AC/DC song called Big Balls. Here it is here, but this song came to market a year after the Big Balls white Nazi band, the punk band. So, Big Balls was named as a form of gaslighting, racial gaslighting. They knew that somebody would find this connection. They knew. So here's the lyrics to AC/DC song, Big Balls, and this was all about elite parties. The first verse is, well, I'm upper class, high society, God's gift to ballroom notoriety. And then the whole rest of it is just making a play on words. Like they're throwing a big ball. And that's the rest of this song. Holy smokes, you guys. What a crazy matrix we live in. All those connections. to all of this. So now we've solved the big balls, right? Now we know what this was about. It's racial gaslighting, because there's no way this guy would have went by this nickname knowing this history, but very, very few people take the time to actually dig into this stuff. We also have the Batman connection to Mephisto repeated in Fantasy Island and all this other stuff. Unbelievable. Now I'm going to check in here in the chat with you guys, and then we'll get into some other stuff, some other headlines, very important headlines about the Trump Purple Heart. We're going to expose that and some other headlines that popped off. What a trip, right, you guys? Yes, big bail. Yes. Nothing new under the sun. Yes. They are two repeating numbers in letters such as BB or 33. Yes. AC/DC, and I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. Trump building a ballroom. Oh, wow. Yes, shalala. That is definitely connected. Absolutely. It's this gaslighting, isn't it? That's what they're doing. They're just itching to tell you about them. Yes, but it's all coded. Sometimes I wonder if a lot of the people that watch this channel are from the elite. It's like some kind of school for them. They're like, wow, look at this. This guy gets it. And nobody else gets it. Nobody else is making these connections, but they're probably in shock and awe. They're like, whoa, like God's showing him this stuff. But then they laugh at us because they know they have complete control, and this information will never, ever be accepted by the rest of the truth community and the masses. And this is what keeps our channel from growing. Yep, big, beautiful ballroom. Yep. You got it, M. Saint. Gosh, the devil's trumpet flower. That was crazy. Lots of new discoveries today, you guys. BB didn't get mugged, dude. He protected a woman. Yeah, he got mugged. He got beat up. That's a mugging. It's just we don't use that vernacular anymore. He got his butt kicked. Yes, he was protecting a woman, but he got mugged. And Trump later came out and was talking about it, and he literally mentioned the word muggings going on in DC. The connection is solid. We should not try to minimize the connection. Trump literally said muggings, and I heard it with my own ears. So he said, we've got muggings going on in DC. It's ridiculous. Now, yeah, I just looked up the trumpet flower, and it said amnesiac, which is Christina. Gosh, we just looked all that up. It's an angel's trumpet flower. It makes you forget the episode, renders you incapacitated, and with amnesia. That's exactly the scenario that happened in the Fantasy Island episode, and that matches the flower. It's the angel's trumpet flower. Wow. Okay, now let's keep going, you guys. A little bit more to cover today, because now we're going to get into this Purple Heart thing. Remember our Purple Heart Trump decode, in which we connected the fake assassination attempt to a previous Purple Heart incident in which a veteran gave Trump his Purple Heart. Except that was many years before the fake assassination attempt. Remember? And I said that incident where the veteran gave Trump a Purple Heart and he accepted it, which is total cringe. I mean, talk about stolen valor, right? Before Trump ever had a fake assassination attempt, a veteran gives him a Purple Heart. That's cringy. And he accepts it. That was a foreshadowing of the future event. That's what it was all about, because now Trump is doubling down on this whole Purple Heart thing. And really what he was doing was channeling the JFK thing is what he was doing, because there's power in that for these people to channel that and piggyback off of it. And here we go again. Trump cannot help himself from stealing the thunder of real veterans, just like he stole the Purple Heart already in that bizarre premonition of the future event years ago. Trump literally says at a Purple Heart event, he says, "It wasn't that easy for me either." Wow. Let's see if there's something to see here. See if this plays. Now understand that Trump's people will eat this stuff up. This is what it's all about.
Thank you. It's amazing. Amazing. Last year, after an assassin tried to take my life in Butler, Pennsylvania, Thomas generously mailed me one of his Purple Hearts. Many of the other veterans showed me the same unbelievable gesture of...
Now remember, he had already been given a Purple Heart during his first presidency by a different veteran. So it was a premonition of a future event. Then after this fake assassination attempt, another veteran gave him a Purple Heart. So this is, let's keep watching.
Kindness, including three-time Purple Heart recipient John Ford and Gerald Enter Jr., who also came along with us and did us a great, great favor. Gerald, John, and Thomas, I want to thank you very much. What a great honor to...
Wait, did he say Enter? What the heck? Gerald Enter Jr.? Whoa.
Great, great favor. Gerald, John, and Thomas, I want to thank you very much. What a great honor to get those Purple Hearts. I guess in a certain way it wasn't that easy for me either when you think of it, but...
Wow. Now let's look up this Purple Heart that he first received. Trump Purple Heart. Let's look this up by date. Let's go back in time because I want to show you guys this. So we're going to go back to, let's put it before 2022. I think, okay. Put in, I'm just putting in a random date. Okay, this was back in 2016, you guys. Before he even won the presidency, I think. I just wanted to get a Purple Heart. This was much easier. Look at this. It's 33 seconds long. This is August 2016.
A man came up to me and he handed me his Purple Heart. Now I said to him, is that like the real one or is that a copy? And he said, that's my real Purple Heart. I have such confidence in you. And I said, man, that's like big stuff. I always wanted to get the Purple Heart. This was much easier.
Wow. I always wanted to get the Purple Heart.
Across these three candidates, you really...
And then several years later, wait a minute. This was in Virginia. I guess it was Pennsylvania where it ended up actually happening. But what a trip, you guys. Welcome to the Matrix. Now, check in with you guys and get into some more of these other headlines. Good morning. I think everybody slept in today. Isn't that a trip? That can't be an accident. But see, the thing is people forget. They forget. This is why we flip back and forth between past, present, and future. We're looking at the entire timeline of a lot of these events because you cannot see the truth unless you compare everything, past, present, and future. And that is when you begin to see how these people are manipulating us. Yes, it's the Matrix. It has to be. There's no other explanation for it. The Holy Spirit is showing us the fabric of reality, and it's helping us to see the truth so that we're not deceived by these people. Now, what else is going on? Well, remember I told you guys about 401ks. I've been saying this for probably about a decade. Said I do not invest in 401ks. I feel like it's a big Ponzi scheme because the gains that you make end up being taxed more times than if you just save your own money in a bank and you don't pay any taxes on it, or you pay taxes on the little bit of interest that you get, which is usually negligible, but you're not getting taxed and having all that money added to your income when you're retired and then taxed again on it to the tune of thousands of dollars a year in additional taxes. Remember we talked about this? Well, guess what Trump just did? He has now destabilized the entire 401k setup. So now more than ever, it will not make sense to put money in a 401k. Well, Casey, no bank's safe. Well, until the entire system crashes, your money and your account, your savings account, is covered by the FDIC. So if something happens, that money is covered. And when it's not covered at some point, that means everything's gone anyway, and your 401k will be gone too. So do you want to have your 401k taxed when you go to take it out to the tune of thousands and thousands of dollars, eating right back up those gains? And also you got inflation and all these things that make it weaker. Or would you rather have your own money in your own bank savings account, and if you need it, you can take it out without getting a penalty, right? And yeah, the money's not going to grow as fast, but at least it's your money. Here we go. How is Trump destabilizing the 401k? Well, he just made an executive order to literally include private companies in these 401k equity firms. This didn't used to be a thing. It used to have to be publicly traded companies, and now it's private companies. And this will, no doubt, destabilize your 401k. In other words, typically a 401k always would grow because it was stable. But now with these private firms coming in, it might not necessarily grow. So now you're not even guaranteed that your money could grow. Now your money could be literally stolen. Your value of your 401k could literally drop less than what you put in. Now, nobody knows if this is going to happen or not, but by adding these private firms, anything could go wrong. So, wow. Now, let's get an Epstein update. Representative Ayanna Pressley calls for a hearing with Epstein survivors. So she's calling for a hearing. And again, this is what they're doing. Like literally the left are now the ones demanding transparency. So of course they're going to lose every time because the left has been beaten, or so they want us to believe. And so this is very painful to see Democrats being the ones to actually hold government accountable by requesting that these trafficking survivors be given a hearing to testify publicly. Now, I don't think this will ever happen, but look at this. Pressley and 15 Democratic colleagues. So don't go running over to the left. This is just part of their shell game so that they continue to lose, because now they've been slated to lose. And now nobody's going to believe them. And they're feeding right into Trump's hands. Trump saying that this is a left-wing hoax. And so now people are going to believe it. They're going to be like, why is it only the Democrats are the ones who are pushing this? This must be a hoax. Trump must be right. Wow. Meanwhile, Trump continues to lie through his teeth, saying that he had absolutely nothing to do with the Ghislaine Maxwell prison transfer. He knew nothing about it. And once again, left-wing nuts are the ones calling him out, so no one is going to believe them. This is so troubling, you guys. Trump says he didn't know anything about this. And of course, that's hogwash. Of course, he knew all about this. This is why they're holding secret meetings about how to handle this. Of course, he knew why she was transferred and had everything to do with it. He probably ordered the transfer. Wow. What else is going on, you guys? Here's the last story. I thought you guys would get a kick out of this. I believe clones and twins are real. I believe that there are certain human archetypes, personalities, spirits, familiar spirits, the Bible calls them, that are copied over and over again. We now have two separate testimonies, one from Epstein's niece and one from Elon Musk's nanny. Both of them talking about clones. In the case of Epstein's niece, she talked about twins being born secretly, given false birthdays to align with whatever, destiny that they have in store for them. False birth certificates with specific birthdays. Now, we picked up on this. We've been following people's birthdays and what day of the year they fall on and how they fit into the roles that they're cast in Hollywood. And we noticed this pattern since the infancy of this channel in 2012. And now we're hearing confirmation from some of these elite people who have been trafficked and have been victims of all this, confirming all this stuff. And she literally said that essentially they're born twins and then they're developed, but they're separated. And it's kind of becomes a competition where they both hone their craft, she said. And undoubtedly, they're probably swapped in and out. This is why sometimes you look at these people and they look a little bit different on certain days. You're like, oh, yeah, that's J-Lo, but she looks a little bit different today. I'm just giving her as an example of someone you might be familiar with. But Trump, they say the same for Trump. He is a Gemini. Maybe he was born with a twin and they swapped them in and out. It's shocking, you guys, to think of the ramifications of all this. And then with Elon Musk's nanny, she said the same thing virtually. She said that they had the seed of the Antichrist or Rosemary's baby, and they kept birthing it in to see if they could get something to take or something like this. I can't remember exactly what she said, but essentially there were copies, and they called them Pharaohs. We discovered this along. Now, there were other channels to give, fair balance that talked about pharaohs ruling the world. I think it was, what's his name? GRAPE. He was the first time I ever heard of this. And of course, other channels talked about Obama being a pharaoh, but really GRAPE was the first one that I heard that said that all of the world rulers are pharaohs. And then we kind of leapfrogged off of that. We were like, oh, wow. And then we started seeing similarities as well. So here we are. Here's Adam Sandler. You ready for this? This guy is his doppelganger. He looks like a young Adam Sandler. Now, what makes this crazy is that they hired this guy to star in the Happy Gilmore 2 movie. 32 years old. And the guy's name is even almost a match to Adam Sandler's name. Instead of Sandler, it's Kessler. Sandler, Kessler. And Adam Sandler met this guy, asked him to be in the movie. And you have to ask yourself, is he some kind of doppelganger, clone, twin, whatever you want to call it? So creepy, guys. So creepy. So that's what I wanted to show you guys today. I hope you got something out of today's show. We just dig into this stuff. There are no right or wrong answers. We're just trying to feel our way in the dark to try to figure out what exactly is going on. Nothing is as it seems. Something isn't right. People that rule this world give us the illusion of what we think is reality, but really there's something much, much different going on behind the scenes. So they said that Hitler had several doubles. Oh, that's interesting. Snowball says, call me. I got answers. I don't have time today, but send me a text or something. Thanks to all of you guys. Now all of you guys are part of this process of learning, Snowball included. And all of you guys send me stuff, and I get lots of pieces of information. So I'm trying to juggle it all, make sense of it, and then present it back to you guys. All right. Sandler Recycle. Yeah, every once in a while, you'll get a very successful person, right? And here's what happens. They recycle these people. Now, we also saw vintage era actors and actresses that seem to look a lot like modern actresses. So, can Adam Sandler act? Adam Sandler was one of the best crossover comedians into Hollywood films during the, like, I guess it was the 90s, maybe 2000s. He had a string of very successful comedic films that were really, really funny. 50 First Dates was one of them. And he was a very funny comedian. I don't know about now, but he was at the top of his game in like the late 90s, 2000s. He was the number one in Hollywood for many years. So oftentimes they'll recycle these kinds of people, I think, is what I think is going on there. Yeah, I did too. I used to love Adam Sandler movies. I mean, they're still funny, but when you see all this stuff, when you start to understand how the Matrix works, it's very hard to enjoy the things we used to enjoy because we know that it's all programming. It's predictive programming. Some of you didn't find him that funny. Little Nicky plays the son of the devil and an angel. Adam Sandler is good at comedy and drama. Yeah, 50 First Dates was very popular movie. Yep, some people get unsubbed from the channel. If you're new to the channel, you have to check in. This is why I do daily shows at the exact same time so you can get into a routine and know where we're at. You don't ever have to guess. You just set your watch and you'll find us because YouTube, the way they keep this channel small is they keep unsubscribing people from the channel. This is why we're stuck at 123,000 subscribers for, it's been a couple of years now. Okay. He plays the Chicago album backwards too. Wow. Olsen twins. Yeah, the Olsen twins were a pair of twins that were allowed to stay together, but typically they'll separate them. Could you imagine like a celebrity sighting and like trip this? Like, what about this scenario? Let's say you're in like Hollywood and you see everybody sees a celebrity, right? They're like, hey, I just saw J-Lo and she was on Hollywood Boulevard. And then all the way on the East Coast, someone sees J-Lo as well. And they both hit the news at the same time. And everyone's like, that's not possible. How did she get from here to there in 20 minutes? That'd be a trip, right? But I can imagine that would be the scenario that would prove all this. Wow. Namtab, the backwards Batman, was an orphan who was violently adopted to the street of Matog by a rich couple. What happened next to him? Really? They admitted using body doubles for appearances. All sorts of twins and triplets coming out in the 80s. J-Lo Skanky. Who is J-Lo? You guys are funny. Definitely copies. Styx has some great songs too. The movie Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Huh. Now, trip this out, and I'll end the show with this. Fantasy Island. Rourke and Tattoo. There is an old myth that we covered on this channel. We looked into one of the apocryphal books. I think it was called the Book of the Giants. And in that book, they described twins. The original giants had a mini me. A mini-me giant. You guys remember this decode? And they would use them as slaves. They would use them as slaves. The giants had a mini-me. And so you have to ask yourself, is this what they were depicting in Fantasy Island with Rourke and Tattoo? Rourke the giant, Tattoo the mini-me assistant. Wow. Lesser selves. Yes, Meg. That's what they called them. Yes. You remember the decode. They called them lesser selves. They would sacrifice them. They would use them as to help them with their armor and all that stuff. It was like basically, what do you call it? Like a squire. It was like the giant's squire. I'll have to dig up that decode. It wasn't that long ago. I think we did that decode within the last year. Yes, Austin Powers Mini-Me. Yes. Man, you guys are amazing. You guys are awesome. I'm so glad you guys were paying attention and follow this stuff and remember it, because you are part of the puzzle piece, getting down to the bottom of this. So run, boss, run. The plane. All right, you guys. Well, I guess I'm going to pop off here. I'm not sure what we're going to do tomorrow, but I'll put all these links in the pinned comment for you. I also need to find a couple of these decodes I think I said I was going to find for you and put it in the pinned comment as well as John Pounder's interview. And when you go over there, if you check out that interview on IC TV, put something in the comment section. Say, hey, Enter the Stars sent me here. That's how this channel is going to grow, is crossover from other channels, because YouTube's not going to do it for us. I love each and every one of you guys. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for your love of the truth, and have a great and wonderful rest of your weekend. Much love.